Tsitsipas and Kyrgios, man. Honestly, I'm loving this drama. I'm loving this rivalry that's building up. Nick Kyrgios defeats Tsitsipas in the third round in 4 sets, losing the first set on a tiebreak and then winning the next two and closing out on the fourth set in a tiebreak. It was an exciting game, a lot of drama, a lot of antics. Tsitsipas referred it as a circus. He called Kyrgios a bully. There was a lot of stuff. Honestly, if you're into tennis, if you're into the Wimbledon and you haven't really kept up with this is very entertaining in my opinion. Obviously, if you're a tennis purist, if you think that it should stay a gentleman's sport per se, then you might be, turned away by this. But me, as someone that I watch all the sports, I'm used to seeing people get emotional, players show how they're really feeling. This is very entertaining. Honestly, this is a lot of fun. Because Kyrgios, yeah, he does, berate the officials, the umpire, and he does go over the top. But like he said, he didn't really do anything to Tsitsipas. He kind of just wanted him to get defaulted because Tsitsipas did throw a ball into the stands that hit the wall and then hit a fan. So I could see why Kyrgios was asking for that. And like I said, tennis is a gentleman's sport, so they might have different rules. They might have a different culture. But in soccer, in basketball, in a lot of other sports, it's not uncommon for a player to ask for another opposing player to be kicked out. In soccer, after a hard foul, it's very common where the other team would go up to the ref and be like, "Yo, like that should be a red card. That should be a red card. Like get him out of here." Going to the line judge, or the linesman on the outside of the field, running up to him, be like, "Hey, help out your ref. Tell him that's a red." Like it happens. In basketball, the same thing. Like as soon as if I could recall a moment in these playoffs when Gary Payton II was hurt on that dunk attempt that he got hit on the back and he fell on the floor, immediately Warriors players went up to the ref like asking like, "Dude, he should be kicked out. That's an ejection. That's an ejection. That should be a flagrant two." And it was a flagrant two, but like I said, it's not uncommon in the sports world for someone to ask for an opposition to be ejected. So that's what Nick Kyrgios was doing. Obviously, if you're in tennis, if tennis is the only thing you watch and you're known for it being a gentleman's sport, I can see why that would be like, "Oh, you don't really do that. You let the umpires do their job and you just play tennis." But like I said, I come from a very diverse sports background. Like I follow so many sports. So this is not something that really deterred me or made me look at Kyrgios like an enemy or like a bad person. That's what happens in sports. And then Tsitsipas did hit a member that was in the stands, a fan, and then he did try to smack Kyrgios with the ball. So I think that's more egregious than anything Kyrgios did. So for Tsitsipas to call him a bully and all this other stuff, I don't know. I don't agree with it. I think it's part of sports. Like Kyrgios said, he mentioned something about the people that he plays basketball with. I'm pretty sure he plays with some pros that play in the basketball league in Australia. So he does play against some competitive people that do, play with a lot of stakes because they are professionals. And like I said, just making the references back to other sports, like even Kyrgios mentioned it that like a little trash talking that's normal in sports, and he wasn't even trash talking. He was just doing his he was just kind of verbally abusing the official, which obviously should be frowned upon, and he did get fined. But like directly to Tsitsipas, he didn't really do anything other than ask for him to be defaulted. But Tsitsipas, like those two press conferences after the match were just they were pretty electric. They were pretty exciting to watch. They were funny, and then he called him a bully. He says he has an evil side to him. Nick Kyrgios responded by saying maybe he needs to figure out how to beat me more often. And he said that Tsitsipas getting shook by what Kyrgios was doing is what's holding him back, which I kind of agree with because Tsitsipas is a very talented player, especially in clay. But he's never won a major, and we're still waiting for that generation to take that leap. They're the next generation. Sinner and Alcaraz are the next generation. They're still not there, and the Kyrgios is kind of right. Like if you let someone's antics like that distract you from your game, where you're not even going for points, you're just trying to smack them with the ball. That says a lot about like your mental fortitude. But it didn't end there. Like afterwards, Tsitsipas also liked some tweets on Twitter saying that Kyrgios matches are not really about tennis. It's all about everything else but tennis. And just like he liked like 3 tweets basically dissing Kyrgios. But I think at the end, Kyrgios got the last laugh because he moved on to the next round when he played against Nakashima, and he just defeated him a couple hours ago in 5 sets. They went the distance, and he took control in the 5th set. So now he's going up against who's he going up against? The Chilean guy. I'm blanking out his name, but he's moving on to the quarterfinals of Wimbledon, where he has a great chance to make it to the semifinals and play against either Nadal or Taylor Fritz. So that's Kyrgios really has a chance to make it at least to the semifinals, and then we'll see what happens. But honestly, there's a lot of people that are like, man, this is not good for tennis, gentleman's sport, blah blah blah. I understand, but there's a lot of comments that I've been seeing on Twitter Instagram that I kind of agree with, even YouTube, where they're like, this upper middle class fan base that tennis has is so, is so like into their customs, into their traditions, that like someone like Nick Kyrgios comes and brings some of that other sports cultures from other sports that are so common in other sports like basketball and soccer, and he brings some of that to tennis, and they're just completely shooken. They're shooketh by it. But honestly, I think it's exciting. I think it's fun. I think the younger generation, for the most part, enjoys it, as you can see by Nick Kyrgios' matches, by how full they get, by the amount of followers he has on social media. I think there's a lot of people that enjoy this. Obviously, like I always say, he could tone it down a little bit with the umpires and the obscenities that he says. But today against Nakashima, he did tone it down like a lot. Commentators were like, yo, this is the most calm I've ever seen Nick Kyrgios. Like, it's good to see that he could tone it down. So we want to see more of that from Nick Kyrgios, like today. But overall, I think he's great for the sport. I think what Tsitsipas is saying too, like he kind of defended himself. He kind of made himself look like a victim, and he didn't show enough accountability for hitting the ball into a fan and doing all this stuff. But I enjoy the rivalry that's building up here, and I can't wait to see when they play again.